Yo, what's up, Increase fam? I got a special one coming at you right now. I want to show you how to take anything that you've been struggling with, dealing with, a problem. Maybe not even a problem. Maybe it's just something you want out of life. And I want to show you how to get this thing. There's been a major problem as to why most Christians aren't receiving or getting what it is that they want out of life. And let me show you exactly what it is. It's actually super simple. I just think most people haven't thought about it this way. So, I'm going to draw this line down the middle. And on one side, I'm going to write the word natural. And then over here, we're going to write kingdom. So when I say natural, what I mean is the world's way of doing things. When I say kingdom, this is God's way. So if you look at Matthew 6:33 and you look it up in the Amplified Classic, it pulls out some of those deeper meanings and definitions. And it talks about God's kingdom. Seek first the kingdom of God. And it lets you know that the kingdom of God is God's way of doing things and God's way of being right. So what we're told to do is to seek first God's way of doing things. Remember, it goes on. Actually, this is Jesus talking. And right before that, he's saying, hey, look. The world, it says the Gentiles, and then some of the other translations say the heathen, some others say the unbelievers. They are worried about, these are the things that dominate their thoughts. What am I going to eat? Where am I going to sleep? What am I going to wear? How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to do this? How am I? And what's happening is they are over here stuck in their natural way of thinking. Again, the world's way of thinking. They don't know there's another way. But Jesus said, hey, don't worry about those things. Don't strive after those things. Just seek God's way of doing things, and he will add everything you need unto you. He'll get it to you. All right? So the reason why a lot of Christians are struggling when they don't have to be is because without realizing it, they're actually operating over here in the world's way of doing things. So let's just look at a couple examples. All right. One of my favorite stories to tell is how I moved into this house and in this neighborhood. Now, my best friend, he also moved 10 houses down, and he has almost the exact same story that I have because he used this same formula, so to speak. So let's say you want to buy a new house. And this house is a significant upgrade. All right. It is double your current home. It's got a pool. It's in a better neighborhood. Maybe the neighborhood's gated. It's got more rooms, more space, a movie theater. You got kids. They need a game room. They need their own bedrooms. You need your own office. You got it. All right. So you want to go buy this new house. And again, let's say it's a significant upgrade than what you're currently in. So what is the world's way of trying to get a house? Man, I'm going to have to, let's cut expenses. Let's shrink down, hunker down. Let's live small. Let's work on our credit score. Hire one of those credit score companies. Let's do overtime at work. Maybe your spouse is a stay-at-home spouse, and you're like, hey, you're going to have to go back to work to pay for this house. Hey, we're going to take our kids out of private school to save up money. Hey, let's not, we're going to skip church. Instead of going to church twice a week, we're only go once a week to save gas money because we need everything we can to get to this new house. Now, every single one of these examples I've seen, experienced, or know of. All right, this is what people do. So this is not a great way to do things. What comes over here is a lot of toil. There can be some grief. There's going to be a lot of sacrifice. Missing out on stuff. Working overtime. It's basically what's happening if you try to do it over here. This is you trying to do it in your own strength. This is how you know how to do it. It's the only way you know how to get a new house or to make more money, is to do all these things. Well, what happens is it takes a whole lot longer, typically. There's typically, just like mired in debt, just deep in debt. It's just a painful way to do things. Okay? So for me, when we wanted to upgrade in our house, we did some things that are a little bit different than what I just described. Now, it was a significant upgrade for us. It was 2.5 times bigger than our old home. So nearing triple our old home, size-wise. Had all the things, bells and whistles. It was the perfect lot in the exact neighborhood we wanted. So what we're going to do is, let's see what it looks like to take this exact same thing, but do it God's way. All right, I want to buy a new house. So here's what I did that was different. I actually didn't do any of these things. I didn't do any of these things. None of those things came with it. When I moved this over to the kingdom side of things, God's way of doing stuff, we operate different. And it's great because we get different and way better results when we operate God's way. So essentially what we're doing is we're saying, God, I want your help on this. Remember Matthew 6:33 where it says, seek the kingdom of God above all else, which is his way of doing things. So I just went to God and I said, what is your way of doing things? Well, couple different instructions that he gave me, but we're going to start with Mark 11:24 and Hebrews 11:1. All right, so let's go over here. Matthew, I didn't mention this, but Matthew 21:22 is Matthew's account of Mark 11:24, and I was just reading it this morning. It just says this: you can pray for anything, and if you have faith, you will receive it. Oh. And then the other one you could use would be something like James 4:2. You have not because you ask not. Matthew 7:7. Ask and you will receive. The guy over here doing it in his own strength hasn't asked. He's just trying to figure it out on his own. This is how the world does it. Trying to acquire things without God's help. All right, so if we go over here, we go to Mark 11. I tell you, you can pray for anything. And if you believe that you have received it, it will be yours. If you believe you have received it, it will be yours. Hebrews 11:1. Let me read it to you in the Amplified. Check this out. It's actually very pertinent to home buying, the phrasing that it uses. This is cool. Now, faith is the assurance. It is the confirmation. It is the title deed. It literally says that in the Amplified Classic. It is the title deed of the things that we hope for. Well, I'm hoping for a new house. He's saying faith is the title deed. You've got it. You have the title deed. The title deed is the piece of paper that shows ownership and proves that you own the thing. The thing I wanted was this new house. I had the title deed. I had selected the house. I was specific. I want this one in this neighborhood. This is what I want. I've got the title deed for it. All right? This is proof of things we do not see and the conviction of their reality. I was convicted it was real. It was mine. Faith perceives as real fact what is not revealed to the senses. You guys see how I'm putting this together, right? Mark 11:24. I tell you, you can pray for anything, and if you believe that you have received it, it will be yours. So it's when you pray, when you ask, believe you have received it. So I just believed that this house was mine. So what did I do? I'm talking almost every day. I'd say at least 3 times a week minimum. I drove the neighborhood. I got so familiar with driving into this neighborhood that it felt like home. Like it felt comfortable. It felt familiar. I did it so many times. Like, do you have that place? Like, I get it when I go into my church or maybe a family member's home. You've been there. Go back to your parents' home where you grew up. You've been in there so many times, it's just familiar. That happened to me with this neighborhood I didn't live in yet. You can take your family there. This has a neighborhood park. You can go on a walk. You can play in the park. The house I had, nobody lived in there. The one I was picking, the one I was choosing, nobody lived there. So I would go and park in the driveway. I'd go in there and I would just thank God for my house. Just go park in the driveway, take the family out, go walk around the park. Every time they had like 3 open houses, I was at all the open houses. This is my house. Got the title deed. I asked for it. And if I believe that I have received it, I get it. So, I'd say long story short, but I guess it's kind of a short story. It took a couple months, and what ended up happening was part of the strategy God gave me when I was seeking his kingdom first, his way of doing things, was he said, his name was Ben. Ben, if you're watching this, you know I love you. You're a rock star. Call Ben. He's a mortgage guy I knew, kind of more of an acquaintance from church. Called him. He got stuff rolling, got stuff moving. But then there was a lot of hangups and a lot of stalls and it just kind of didn't go anywhere. And I remember one day I was like, God, we want that house. What do we do? And I heard it clear. Call Ben one more time. So I called Ben one more time. And he got things through. Things started moving. He told me, he said, I'm approved to pick out any house I want. Then Ben, the reason God said call Ben was because Ben was a ninja and he did some very strategic things. And I was able to get in my home for only $2,500 down. Out of pocket. Oop. $2,500. I got this big old house. It should have been 45 grand out of pocket to get into here. But Ben had a strategy. God knew that. You can take this strategy. So my best friend who moved 10 houses down in the same neighborhood, his house is actually even a little bit bigger than mine. He did this exact same strategy. Now, God didn't tell him to call Ben. He had to call someone else. But he did all the things where he drove it. He went to the open houses. He pulled it up on the app all the time, printed out pictures on the background of your computer. They went to the park. They parked in the driveway. They'd walk around the neighborhood. There's some cool ponds and some cool things you can do here. They went and did all those things as though they had the title deed to the house because they asked God for it. But then they had to take a step. So that's what I'm trying to implore you guys to do is whatever it is, you need to move it from the natural side of things over to the kingdom side of things. If on your faith list is to pay off your debt, take it out of the natural way, make this same chart and go write down what it looks like to do it in the natural, draw the line, move it over to the kingdom and say, what does it look like to do it over in the kingdom? Because when you're trying to pay off debt the world's way, you might get completely different instructions, which is going to take you down a completely different path, and it won't work. And if it does work, you're going to come out on the other side beat up, angry, mad, and damage will have been done. But if you do it the kingdom way, you can do it with peace. It's stress-free, worry-free. God's working on it on your behalf. You're saying, God, I want you involved in this. I'm tired of doing it on my own. I don't like those results. I want you with me. That's the kingdom way. You're trying to get out of debt. He might tell you to sow a financial seed. Wait, I'm trying to get out of debt. Shouldn't every penny I have go to paying off debt? No, not in the kingdom. Because 2 Corinthians 9:6 says if you sow generously, sowing as in like sowing seed. The context is giving a financial offering, but he's relating it to farming and agriculture, which is most of their businesses back in the day. So what he's saying is if you sow seed generously so that blessings come to someone, you will reap generously and blessings will come to you. Oh, maybe that's what I need to do, and then I'll use that money to pay off the debt. Maybe there's a supernatural debt cancellation scenario. I just paid off a $35,000 debt using the kingdom strategy. So take what it is you need, and it could be anything. It could be starting a business, a ministry, a marriage thing, a kid thing, a family thing. It doesn't have to be a house or a car or buying something. It could be anything. Examine yourself. Are you in faith or are you doing it the world's way in your own strength? Move it over here to the kingdom way. Get your scriptures. Ask God for instruction. Get specific. Right? Let me write some of those things down. Get specific and ask. Philippians 4:6 in the Amplified says, make your specific requests known to God. So get specific. Guess I'll put it here. Ask him. So many ask scriptures. Just Google it. There's a ton where it says you can ask for anything you want. If you have faith, you'll get it. All right? Get specific on what you want. Ask him for it. Move it into the kingdom realm. Get instructions from God. What do I do here? What's your way of doing things? Then just obey your marching orders. Even if they seem backwards to what you were thinking. They often will. Here's a little faith formula, all right? Obey your marching orders. Man, that might seem crazy. Like I said, I'm trying to get out of debt and you're telling me to bless somebody with money? That doesn't make sense, God. And he's like, no. I'm working on something. I got laws and principles and things I need you to operate in so that I can get more increase to you. Man, it's such a better way to do things. You can live free and have fun and enjoy life while God's doing big things on your behalf. All right. I love you guys. Apply this today. Don't let this be another teaching. Man, do this thing. Please. I'm telling you. Do it with your money. Do it with stuff. Do it with debt. Do it with whatever is on your heart. I love you. If you guys haven't already, man, go check out the Increase Challenge. It's going to help you start moving in this direction. And then I've also got Increase University. That is just my step-by-step framework and formula to go from A to Z, from the land of not enough to the land of more than enough. It is a phenomenal training. There's nothing like it on the planet. Click the links below. Check those things out if you haven't already. I'd love to see you on the inside.